I mentioned to my viewers yesterday that I might tell you a story about another Navy story. I've got 2 or 3 in mind. Today's story is going to be about the bilges. Bilges is in the area below the lowest deck, between the hull and the lowest deck. No ship is leak-proof, so a certain amount of water leaks into the ship, and it collects down there in the bilges. If you get a bad leak, the bilges can get pretty deep in water down there. But when a ship is rolling back and forth like a minesweepers that we were on, those wooden hull ships, those ships were actually designed like an old sailing ship. They had wooden ribs in the outer wooden hull, and the ribs stick up, I don't know, 6 or 8 inches. I don't know, probably higher than that, like the skeleton of the boat. Anyway, the bilges collects water. They have a pump system set up from one end of the ship to the other that will drain those bilges if you get too much water in there. One of my duties is when I was standing security watch and stuff, was to go around during my watch and check the bilges and make sure there wasn't no serious leak or too much accumulation of water that needs to be pumped out. Now down under the engine room and generator room, the water down there had a tendency to get kind of oily and messy because of you know, the engines and everything, whatever oil that gets spilled in there or leaks out of the engines. So it can be downright messy in those bilges. I recall one time standing watch. It was about at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was told, do my bilge check-in. Security watch, you go around, make sure there ain't no fire or something or anything that needs to be reported while everybody else is asleep. You're walking around on the ship just making sure everything's okay. In the meantime, you got to check those bilges. So I'll go into Lower Sound. That's the area down a little bit closer towards the front of the ship. That's where all the sonar and radar, sonar I guess you call it, and equipment in that Lower Sound. And it was a compartment. You couldn't stand up in there. It was about 3 or 4 feet high. Went down there and lifted the hatch and looked down in there to see. There's usually about 2 inches of water in the Lower Sound. I looked in there and the deck plates was floating. It was a good 6 feet of water in there. It was leaking really bad. I don't remember why it was leaking so bad. Maybe it hadn't been checked in a while or whatever. So I got concerned because the water was actually getting up around the electronic equipment, the sonars equipment and stuff. So I went and reported it to the, I don't remember if it was the engineering officer, XO, or somebody. I knocked on his door and woke him up by 3 o'clock in the morning. Told him what was going on. Somebody needs to come down there and check a Lower Sound. I'm going to start the pumps, but I think you need to have somebody check all that equipment. In the meantime, I went. He came and looked at it and saw by that that time it was even a little deeper. And they got to looking to see what they could do to check things out, and I went and started the pumps. And it wasn't long. We got all the water pumped out of there. But the bilges was a thing that, you know, it was a kind of a pain in the neck to have to deal with them. I recall once we had these big General Motors engines, diesel engines on there. One of them broke down when we were underway. We literally had to rebuild the engine. Well, I was a damage controlman, but they said, you're going to help the engineman down there rebuild that engine while we're underway. I don't remember, there's 671s, 471s, whatever. I'll have to look on a computer and see what they were. But they're big engines, and they had cylinders. Oh, I guess the pistons in them were, probably 8 or 10 inches across, big pistons. Well, somebody got to go down in the bilge, and that big engine's bolted right to the lowest deck. Somebody got to actually get down in the bilges And I recall it was about 3 or 4 feet of water. Not 4 feet, 3 or 4 inches of water in there. Just enough sloshing around to annoy you. Well, guess who got elected to go down into the bilges? Here I am laying on my back in the bilges and water sloshing under me. Got a socket and a ratchet in my hand, taking an oil pan off the bottom of that engine. That was a big oil pan too. But we go around, they tell me, take this off, take that off. You take you disconnect the piston rod. Take all the bearings off when you take the bolts out and hand them up through the plate to whoever was up there, and they would number them and whatever piston they come from. I had to literally push the piston up through the top of the engine. They had the heads and everything off already up there, so they handed me out a 2x4, and I literally had to push those big pistons from down in the bilges out the top of the engine. Needless to say, by the time I got off that little duty chore, I was pretty greasy. I never did look forward to getting into bilges. That's not a great little story, but it's true, and it happened to me. I guess you could say I'm the original bilge rat. I'm home now. We'll talk to y'all later. This is Pwalpar signing off.